Today's topic is popcorn. Most people know it as a favorite movie snack, just dumped in loads of butter. Many sources have actually put microwave popcorn on the top foods to stay away from. But have you considered air-popped or stovetop popcorn, preferably using organic kernels, which for many sources is on the list of one of the most healthy snacks? So what makes them so different? Today, we are going to look at the chemistry of air-popped popcorn, which can be done through an air popper or a stovetop, to determine what makes it such a healthy snack. Lastly, we will look at delicious and nutritious ways to top and flavor your popcorn. This video was not made to persuade anyone to change their diet. I just did some research and wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so the first question we need to answer is, how does a kernel become this delicious snack? The kernel comes from maize and is made of 3 different parts: the germ, the endosperm, and the pericarp. The germ is actually the living part of the kernel. It is the part that sprouts. It contains all the vitamins and minerals needed for plant growth. The endosperm consists of mostly starch, which is a carbohydrate. Carbs are made of sugar or glucose molecules, which then provide food for the germ. So, the point of the endosperm is to give energy to the germ. Now, the last part of the kernel is the pericarp, or the hull. It is the strongest part because it needs to protect the other 2 parts. Okay, let's talk about how the kernel turns into this fluffy popcorn. Within the endosperm/starch section is water. When the heat is raised enough, like in a stove or in a microwave, the water molecules inside start gaining what we call kinetic energy. So they're moving really fast, and the liquid turns to vapor. Collectively, all these water molecules that are moving really fast build up pressure inside the kernel. Meanwhile, the starch inside the endosperm melts and becomes soft. With all the pressure, the hull finally cracks and the soft starch seeps out of the cracks and puffs up, while catching a lot of air within the starch. This is actually why air-popped popcorn is so low in calories, because it's practically like eating dietary fiber and air. 1 cup of air-popped popcorn is just 31 calories, and sugar and fat-free, a great snack to help lose weight. However, it doesn't feel like just eating air. Popcorn has high satiety levels, meaning you would feel pretty full after eating less. This is because of its high fiber content. Small amounts of fiber are found in the endosperm, but the majority of the fiber is found in the hull or the pericarp. Fiber is a type of carb. Most carbs are broken into glucose, but fiber cannot be broken down, and this is actually a good thing for the body. Because the insoluble fiber found in popcorn cannot be broken down by the body, the fiber doesn't provide calories. The fibrous part, or the hull of the popcorn, is made of cellulose. If you are unfamiliar with that, basically cellulose makes up the cell wall in plants and is very difficult to break down. Think about how we break down food in our bodies. We break down food with the use of water, a process also called hydrolysis. We also use enzymes to break down our food. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at how water breaks down substances. Water is made up of 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. As you may have learned in previous videos, every atom has electrons, which get transferred or shared in order to create bonds. However, sometimes when sharing electrons, one atom pulls electrons more towards them. They become greedy. And electrons are negatively charged. In water's case, the oxygen pulls the electron towards it, making it more negative, and the hydrogen ends more positive. This difference in charge allows water to easily attract other substances because, opposites attract. Once water attracts other substances, it pulls them apart using these differences in charge. Okay, let's get back to the main point. Cellulose is a very rigid molecule. It is a linear chain of many thousands of glucose units. Because its structure is linear, the molecules are able to stack on top of each other, creating what is called a crystalline structure. When the molecules are that close and packed together, taking them apart is going to be that much harder. That's why the hull of the popcorn is so tough. On top of it, cellulose is such a big structure, whereas water molecules are tiny, so it is much too large for water to dissolve. If you think about it, this all makes sense in application when you take a look at plants. Cellulose is found in the plant cell walls, and the purpose of cell wall is to provide protection against external forces. So it would make sense for the cellulose to be hard to break down. If cell walls started breaking down when exposed to water, then well, plants would not survive. So, the water in our bodies can't break down insoluble fiber, and neither can our enzymes because as humans, we don't have the enzymes of the proper shape to break it down. So, basically, this cellulose, which makes up the fiber, passes through the intestine undigested. This induces wave-like contractions in the intestine, efficiently moving the food forward and exposing it to the intestine walls for proper nutrient absorption. And due to the fact that it doesn't break down, it stays in the stomach for a long time, making you feel full. It's also important to keep in mind that cellulose itself contains many oxygen and hydrogen atoms, and while it cannot break it down, water can easily bond to those atoms. Hydrogens bond very readily with oxygens. This is called a hydrogen bond, one of the strongest bonds. This accounts for an important characteristic of cellulose. It is attracted to and absorbs water to some extent, although not as much as soluble fiber does. The tissue in a plant is made of cellulose, and in order for plants to attain water, they need to suck it up the roots to the stem. They are able to do so because cellulose is attracted to water, and there is an adhesion between the two. That's how water can beat gravity and go up the stem. In a similar way, the insoluble fiber in the intestine is attracted to water and actually absorbs some water. This leads to bulkier and softer, but more solidified stools. And at this point, you're probably wondering why that matters. In general, digestion and stomach ache issues improve. A bigger stool is easier for the body to pass, decreasing risk of constipation. Getting the proper amount of fiber can ease abdominal pain, cramping, and spasms. Along with this, it can prevent very serious conditions like colon cancer and colon diverticulosis. A larger, bulkier stool is able to sweep away the carcinogens, cancer-causing substances, from the colon wall. Colon diverticulosis happens when the colon has to generate too much pressure to propel the stool, which leads to ruptures in the colon. It takes a while for these ruptures to happen, but speaking long term, it is a good idea to get into the habit of eating fiber now. That being said, the intake of fiber has to be a gradual increase because the body can't adapt to a drastic increase. While popcorn contains mostly insoluble fiber, it also contains some soluble fiber. This combination has been shown to decrease chances of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and even cardiovascular diseases. It has also been shown to regulate blood sugar levels and lower blood pressure. In fact, popcorn has a glycemic index of 55. The glycemic index is the ranking of carbs in a food relative to how they affect blood glucose levels. Carbs with a low glycemic index, which is 55 or below, take longer to be digested, so blood sugar rises much slower and doesn't fluctuate so much. So, popcorn as a snack plus other high-fiber foods can be extremely beneficial. Popcorn is also a great source of proteins and minerals, like iron, calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. Fun fact, in an ounce-by-ounce comparison, popcorn actually has more protein than eggs. Furthermore, popcorn is an excellent source of antioxidants. To learn about the chemistry of antioxidants, watch the matcha video I made. But, in short, they protect us against very unstable, reactive, and angry molecules called free radicals. These free radicals snatch electrons away from cells and damage cell DNA. But antioxidants are generous and give free radicals that electron before they can do further damage. Free radicals can cause many illnesses, like cancer, gene mutations, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, and many cardiovascular diseases. So, Popcorn can help lower the risk of all of these conditions. Free radicals can also cause inflammation in the body. This is especially bad news for arteries. When arteries become inflamed, they become narrow and less elastic, resulting in poor blood circulation, which leads to cardiovascular diseases. So yeah, popcorn can help in preventing those scary things from happening. Antioxidants also help reverse signs of aging and keep skin more healthy, because when free radicals take that electron from the skin cell, it creates wrinkles or inelasticity. But popcorn can help with that. In fact, even compared to some fruits and vegetables, popcorn provides antioxidants that are much more readily absorbed by the body. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's look at healthy ways to top your popcorn. Guys, buy some kernels and pop them yourself on the stove, because many brands of microwave popcorn are known to contain too much salt, a lot less fiber, and some harmful chemicals. So just pop them on the stove and incorporate some of your favorite flavors. You can top it with Parmesan cheese, chili pepper, or different herbs, maybe some black pepper or some garlic. You can add some nutritional yeast, which tastes like cheese but it's vegan. And I actually made a video on the benefits of nutritional yeast as well, so you can go check that out. Of course, even lightly salted popcorn is pretty satisfying. For sweet popcorn, you can even sprinkle some cinnamon and sugar, and you can get even more creative, and while popping it, melt some dark chocolate in and add some coconut flakes.